Hello everyone, I'm Luxon, and I'm back from my hiatus-y thing of about a month, which means it's the perfect time to not make new Xenoblade videos. Well, I got this Pokemon video and the Fire Emblem video that are both heavily related to games that we're going to learn a lot more about at E3 2018 in a few days. As such, I wanted to get these out as soon as possible before every point I make in them is completely invalidated by whatever we find out about them at E3. That being said, you'll get this and the Fire Emblem one today, so go watch the other one when you're done with this. And, well, after that, I'm going to start making Xenoblade stuff again, and get ready for that. I've also, as a result of hitting 5,000 subscribers, opened up my own Discord server, which you can find in the description of all my videos that come out after then. And yeah, let's get jumping into the topic. That was a very clumsy way of saying it, but you're looking at the title, and what does that mean? Just ideas from Mystery Dungeon for Switch based on Let's Go. You'd think that I'd be thinking, oh, yeah, we know what Let's Go is, some people are bigger fans of it than others. I'm perfectly fine with it. I don't know if I'll get it like at launch like I usually do with new generations and stuff, but that's besides the point. I don't mind it. And we also know, of course, that there's Gen 8 coming in 2019. So the more logical video to make would be, what does the stuff we know about Let's Go so far, what ideas for Gen 8 can we come up with because of that? Well, I'm not going to go that direction. I'm going to go a different direction and talk about actually my favorite part of the Pokemon franchise, which is, of course, the Mystery Dungeon series. Now, in all honesty, this isn't as connected to Let's Go as I initially made it seem. This is more of a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Switch wish list, sort of inspired by the way we know the franchise is going to be going in the next 2 years with Let's Go this year and then the next generation in 2019. So, starting off, the first thing I'd want is, of course, something we've already got. Something a lot closer to the Explorers or original Mystery Dungeon formula and, well, level of quality as opposed to Gates of Infinity. They're already completely back on track with Super Mystery Dungeon, so just keep that level of polish, that level of quality, keep that going for the Switch game. Game Freak has made HD games. They'll have made, it, at the very least, Let's Go by the time we start getting more spin-off games on the Switch, so I'm not worried about visuals. They won't be worse than Let's Go at the very least. And once you have all your Pokemon games running on the same system, you could just keep using the same high-quality models and actually cut down on production time and maybe even be able to fit more species of Pokemon in the game, and that is a good thing. It's just, keep the gameplay, variety, quality, dungeon design, all that stuff. Keep the story, all that kind of thing. Just keep that at the same level of quality you've been doing in Super Mystery Dungeon and that you had in the original games and the Explorer trilogy. So that's point one. That's not a big deal. That's just saying, I want the next Mystery Dungeon game to be a good game. But now we get into a few more interesting things. Well, guess what? It's actually time to double back on one of the suggestions I had that was the reusing of character models from the main series games, because, as with most people, I do prefer the pre-3DS pixel art style and sprite-based gameplay as opposed to the 3D art style and using 3D models for everything that Gates and Super Mystery Dungeon had. I would like to see, even on the Switch being an HD console, a return to that pixel aesthetic, just because it might be nostalgia, but in general, I do prefer the older art style to the newer one, and it would actually, I'm making kind of the opposite case I made before, where, oh, if you use the same models, things will be easier to make. On the other hand, using a completely different art style would make your spin-off stand out more than the other game, and not in the way Pokemon Quest does. So, yeah, I do like the pixelized art style. I want them to go back to that. I'm not sure how they could pull it off. In my mind, I'm thinking something less of the, oh, this looks like an SNES game that the GBA and original DS games went with, and something more closer to the using pixely textures on top of an obviously 3D from the ground up world, like something like Octopath Traveler used. I love Octopath Traveler's art style, and maybe something with higher pixel resolution or smaller pixels so that each sprite would be bigger, or not bigger, but have more pixels, have more detail in something, and do that for every Pokemon, not necessarily for environments. I don't care as much if the environments are 3D as long as they integrate well with the sprites, but again, you could just take a 3D model and put a very sprite-looking texture on top of it, which I'm pretty sure is what they did for some of Octopath at the very least. But obviously switching to a more closer to top-down camera angle as opposed to Octopath's full isometricness, because, well, it's a top-down dungeon crawler. That's just how the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games work. And I don't know. I just like that. It would maybe bring some of the character back into more minor Nintendo RPG series that, well, we kind of lost that in Mario and Luigi with the transition to the 3DS, and we lost that in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon with the transition to the 3DS. So why not bring it back for the Switch, even though it kind of seems like it's the exact opposite of what they want to do? I don't know. I'd like to see it. You'd probably like to see it. That's just me. Next up is kind of correcting something that the Let's Go games are actually backpedaling on, and that's the connectivity with other players. Obviously, Pokemon as a franchise was designed so that you could connect with other people for things like battling and trading, and yeah, Let's Go is going back to you can just battle and trade with people online. Whatever, that's for effectively a spin-off, taking the casual series, making it even more casualized. I'm okay with Let's Go doing that, as long as Gen 8 goes back to the wealth of online opportunities that you have. But again, the Mystery Dungeon series hasn't even had anything as much as actually being able to play alongside or against someone. So yeah, add stuff like that in. Rescuing people, that's fine, that is cool, and it is a good way to make you feel connected with other players and make the whole idea of groups of people, or groups of Pokemon working together to explore the mysteries of the world and save people. That does go in well with the themes of the game and stuff, and I'm okay with that, but I do want to add more things. First off would be to figure out some sort of actual cooperative online multiplayer. I'm not sure how you do that. Maybe each player picks one Pokemon where they control, and you go through a dungeon at the same time. You have to, like, wait for all the other people to move and then all the enemies to move before you can move again, and obviously you'd have some sort of connectivity through either the Switch app like Splatoon does, or through the console itself, so you could actually communicate things with each other, something like that. As for competition, I don't really know how you do that, other than just like, yeah, pick teams of 4 and slug it out, something like that. I'm not sure. You could do that, or you could just do like time attack or turn attack things, like, hey, here's this not predetermined dungeon, or here's this predetermined dungeon that both of you are going to get, and you have to work your way through it as quickly and as efficiently as possible, or like actually have races to see who can get through a certain number of floors the fastest. That would be kind of cool. I don't know. But the big thing would be, and this is again going back to what Pokemon was originally about, connecting with people face to face, and actually something that Go brought back into the series after being absent since the internet was a thing. Local multiplayer. Now, obviously, you could just carry over all the online stuff I specifically stated and just do that locally, either via wireless play or split screen or something like that. Split screen probably wouldn't work for some of the competitive stuff because you could just literally copy exactly what they were doing in tie. But this is the reason I'm tying it to Let's Go, mainly. Let's Go advertised pick up and play multiplayer, where if you just took the second Joy-Con that Player 1 was using, you'd hop in as a second trainer right behind them. You could walk around autonomously, you could do double battles against people. So, what if you do that for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon? Yeah. If someone's playing on their 2 Joy-Cons, they're just walking around a dungeon with their full team of 4, their friend comes in, is like, hey, what are you doing? Let's play a video game. Okay, here, have this other Joy-Con. You can now control the partner Pokemon. So you got someone controlling the hero, someone controlling the partner. Again, you can either work together, you could divide and conquer. Maybe each of you take an AI party member with you. And yeah, if you have more controllers, obviously open that up to 4 players. There is, of course, the size limit for not being able to take a full set of 4 if you have something like a Wailord or Lugia on your team. But you could either just design the game around having multiple large Pokemon, remove that limit entirely, and see what wacky ways it goes, something like that. But the problem is, if you just do something where, oh, these 3 AI characters are now completely controlled by humans that can all work together and interact, yeah, that's cool, that is even more in tune with the themes of the game, but it also makes things really easy. Because, like, one of the main appeals of the Mystery Dungeon games is trying to carry around your entire team on your back and making up for the stupid actions of your partner and the other 2 party members you bring with you. So, this is going to probably be very unpopular. I don't know if the non-Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games ever did something like this, but... And this is actually tying into today's other video that I didn't even realize till I started recording this one, since I actually completely finished that one before doing this. Why not take a page out of Fire Emblem and have you actively give commands to all of your Pokemon per turn? Now, yeah, that is kind of against what the series has always done in the past, and it would be different. But at the same time, that could be the gimmicky new mechanic for this game that you could always just turn off and leave things to the AI, and it would make the developers able to actually design the difficulty of the game around humans having control of every party member on the team. If you build the game around this mechanic, actually using the mechanic won't seem to make you completely overpowered or screw up the balance of the game in any way. Now, obviously, the way you'd handle this in the pick up and play, in the online multiplayer, and in the single player controlling different Pokemon, that would be different between the methods. When it's online multiplayer, it's, oh, you see the point of view of whoever you're controlling on your Switch screen or on your TV screen, and that's easy. When you're going local, my first thought would be to go to split screen, but then you couldn't see the field of view, the entire field of view, of both players' Pokemon if you're only using 2. If you're using 3, obviously just do you could just split it up into 3. If you're using 4, just split it up the traditional 4-way. So I guess you just have to shrink down each person's screen and then just like put it in the corners, like do the normal 4 split screen thing, but just leave 2 of them blank like you would with 3, just leave 1 of them blank, maybe like give you the ability to display certain stats in those areas, something like that. But then when you're one person controlling 4 Pokemon, the bigger thing, even if the difficulty of the game itself is designed around that, how are you not just given the ability to see the entire dungeon at once? Or the entire floor at once? Even if you just black out the areas that haven't been explored yet, that's still a ridiculous advantage over all the other games in the series. That's like using a Luminous Orb to show everything on that floor at all times. So really, the only thing I could think of is just, on your turn, give you the ability to swap between all of your party members, and each of them will give their field of view. You can't see, going back to Fire Emblem, you can't see the entire map and just be able to swap around between each of your party members just by toggling over to one of them. You need to press a button to swap between the field of view of all of the Pokemon. And yeah, I guess you could remove the ability to swap between, or to look at ones that have already moved, and you might actually be forced to go in the order hero, partner, number 3, number 4, because that is the movement order that works when the AI is controlling them. So if you wanted to have the ability to swap back to AI, you could just do it that way. But yeah, this is the one point I'm making where I actually really want to know people's opinions on in the comments, so you start writing that, and I'll start writing my next Xenoblade video. And until then, this is Luxon, signing off.